Growing up, I never truly felt like I could fit in. I was this out of shape kid who could barely do any sports. I remember even competing in some school track and field events and always leaving home with some participation badges, these purple participation badges. And even in high school, I remember seeing all of my friends going out to the sporting events of their choice, whether it was basketball or rugby and this and that. And there I was just missing all of the fun being this sad, overweight kid. And so I never truly felt like any sport could be my sport or that I could even fit in with any athletic abilities. It wasn't until my parents, during my growth spurt, which made me really skinny and lanky, actually put me up for Taekwondo classes. It was something that I was really good at, being fast on my feet, being really quick with my reaction time. And even though I had tried multiple different sports to try out at in my school and was absolutely terrible at, this was the one thing that I felt that I could truly excel in. Got to a point where eventually I got to blue belt in Taekwondo. I wanted to try out some other stuff. I went to boxing at Master Choose Martial Arts in Canada, and immediately I was absolutely hooked. And over a decade of on and on, I have been truly able to master a bunch of martial arts, particularly boxing, but I've done, judo, wrestling, MMA, Muay Thai, tried a bunch of different stuff. So in today's video, I want to discuss how martial arts can truly change your life, aside from being able to protect yourself and why I think every person should do it. However, I also want to talk about some cons that you should be very wary of. One of the biggest pros was the ability to learn to do the boring work. Once you start martial arts, especially in the beginning as a beginner, you quickly realize that it's not all the flash that it's made out to be. There's a lot of things that you just have to be patient with, especially the boring stuff. Doing jabs for 12 plus rounds, nothing but absolute just one-off jabs. Patience with doing the boring stuff. For example, doing jabs for rounds on end and trying to make each punch perfect, making your defense perfect, doing head movement the exact same way for multiple rounds. It is very meticulous. It is very boring. It's not like what you see in movies at all. The cool thing about this though is this gets translated to your real life circumstances where boring and tedious work is oftentimes required for long-term success. Whether this be at work, whether this be at a business, a project, something that you're doing that requires non-stop effort for long periods of time. Number 2 is learning the importance of perfect practice. Some people practice things they're trying to get good at, and it never works out for them in the long run, and they wonder why they never got results. The truth is that you don't know what you don't know. And when it comes to any skill in life, you have to learn from others. It was Sir Isaac Newton who said, "If I have seen further, it is by standing upon the shoulder of giants." So you're going to be able to have the ability to learn from those who've mastered the principles before you and show you your faults along the way. And with myself having run multiple consulting businesses, I've seen a common pattern amongst those who become successful versus those who don't. I have regularly talked to people who they know that this is something that they need. They know they need consulting and they immediately get in and you see them put in the work and get results. And then you have other people who have faulty do it by myself thinking. They tell themselves, you know what, I'm going to try for a year by myself. And the problem with this thinking is that not only do you not know what you don't know, and so it's going to take you a long time to figure it out on your own, but also you'll be practicing the wrong things, which is going to take double the amount of time just to unlearn so that you can do it right from the beginning. This is called the opportunity cost of learning the wrong way. Third lesson is to use fears as a compass. Look, getting hit in the face is not fun, nor is it easy. For the longest time when I was learning boxing, I just wanted to hit the bags. I didn't want to get in the ring. I didn't want to spar. And to be honest, the first time that I sparred, my fears were justified. I got hit in the face really, really hard and my body completely shut down. You go into fight, flight, or freeze mode. For me, flight first, and then I went into complete freeze mode. And then a couple times afterwards, when I did sparring, I had some really bad partners who were trying to do ego sparring. They beat me up really badly, huge guys, and I even got a couple concussions, one of which led me to be in my bed basically for 2 weeks where I couldn't do anything. My brain was basically not working, but I couldn't let that get in the way. I knew that this was a fear that I wanted to overcome. And so the more practice I got, the more I exposed myself to that fear, the easier it became. So much so it got to the point where now my sparring partner is one of my friends, is a North American Muay Thai champion, provincial champions. I'm able to hold my own against some of the absolute best people. And that's because I don't go into fight, flight, or freeze anymore. And this gives me confidence, not just in the ring, but also in life, to be able to know that you can take some of the worst punishment, which is, in my opinion, getting hit by another human being, and you're able to go about life. Everything else in comparison seems easy. Fourth lesson I learned is to be proactive instead of reactive. I quickly learned that in the ring, if you don't get the respect that you deserve, people will walk all over you. If you're timid and you're afraid just because someone's a big puncher and they hit you a couple times and you're like, whoa, this was really hard, and you show that to them, they're going to walk all over you. They're going to use that against you. You have to earn respect and hit back. And oftentimes when you do that and you are the aggressor, they start pulling back as well. And the same thing in life. Stop being timid. Go after the things that you want. Be assertive. Take massive action and be willing to take risks. That's how you're going to be able to get ahead. The fifth lesson is that small setups lead to big KOs. Single-handedly, one of the most important punches in boxing is the jab. Maintain your distance, keeping the jab there, and then boom, hitting with those big punches. And in life, it's the exact same. It's the small daily actions, the small daily habits that lead to long-term success. It's those small habits that you look back on and go, whoa, this thing that I wanted, this dream that I had, this goal that I had, I'm finally here. And you see this often with people who have overnight success. The truth is, you're seeing that big KO that they have, that big success, but you're not seeing all the little setups that they had to do, all the little daily actions that they had to do to be able to get to that point. The sixth is the ability to learn from failures. You're gonna have some days where you go in there and you absolutely get sparked the fuck up. You're gonna get in there with someone who has a lot more experience than you, who is better than you, who's faster than you, who's more powerful than you, and no matter what you do, you cannot get to them. And it seems like you're in the Matrix and they're just beating you up the entire 3-6 rounds that you're sparring them. And whenever I've had experiences like this, I always go home and the immediate thoughts start flowing. Maybe I should do a different sport. Maybe I'm too old for this. Maybe this is not the sport for me. And maybe these things are true, but I always go back and try to learn something from it. Was I not being aggressive enough? Was it my head movement? Was it my distance? Was it that I wasn't creating enough angles? Was it that I wasn't going to the body enough? I replayed in my head, and that's how you learn from your failures in the ring. But the same thing in life, anytime, any goal that you have, that you don't get to that goal, instead of just giving up on that goal, ask yourself why. Why didn't you get to that goal? What happened? What could you improve on? If you were truly 100% honest with yourself, where did you fall short? And what is the skill that you need to learn so that it doesn't happen again? Number 7 is building confidence, but building confidence with humility. Look, when I walk into places now, I have a lot of confidence. I know that for the majority of people, I'm able to protect myself. That it just gives you this, I don't want to say arrogance, it gives you this air of just being able to be calm, be peaceful, no matter where you're at. However, at the same time, I also know that based off of my experience, there's always someone better than you. There's always someone who's going to be able to beat you up. There's always someone who has an edge over you. And so with this comes the ability to not just feel confident, but remain aware of situations in just day-to-day life. Same thing with business. It's like you have people who are extremely arrogant who think they know it all, but you can be confident and also realize that you can learn from other people, to invest into different programs, mentorships, to have conversations with people on a daily basis that you can also learn from. Being able to humble yourself and bring yourself back down to earth so that you can learn from others is a very, very important skill that I learned from boxing. And last but not least is that progress is never ending. After, I would say, more than a decade of experience in boxing now, I still consider myself a novice. There's always somebody that I enter the ring with that absolutely beats me up, and they might even have less years of experience than me. Which brings me to this. As an overall, in martial arts, in life, in everything that you do, there is no end to the process. The goal is never actually the goal. The goal is constant and never-ending improvement. And so even at this age, as I grow older, as I've done years and years of boxing experience, to the average person, I look really, really good. I still view myself as a beginner. I still view myself as there's so much more that I can learn, and there is so much more that I can learn. All right, so now let's talk about the cons of martial arts, in particular boxing. Number one is going to be joint pain. My Achilles heel, my shoulders. Worst part of it is the knuckles and the wrist, which I'm now even getting physiotherapy for. I go once a week to do shockwave therapy, ultrasound therapy, trying to help me with my wrist because my wrists are absolutely destroyed. I have the wrists of an 80-year-old man. Okay, so the joint pain is probably the worst of it all. I have TMJ in my jaw now. My shoulder pops all the time. My wrists are absolutely cracked. This is something that you have to be extremely careful for. If you're going to enter a sport like boxing, you want to get the best gear possible. Don't be cheap. Get the good stuff, okay? Get good headgear. Get really good gloves that's going to protect your wrists and it's going to protect your knuckles. Get really good wraps that's going to be able to protect your hands. These things are extremely important for the longevity of the sport alone. Number two is potential brain damage. As someone who has experienced multiple concussions, one of them leaving me in bed for like 2 weeks, it's not fun, okay? And as a general rule, you want to maintain brain health, right? This is not something that you want to play with, and the dangers increase, especially as you age, and especially if you take it seriously and you get in the ring and you're sparring on a regular basis. Even the smallest hits can cause long-term brain damage. So this is something you want to be extremely careful for if you're learning for the sport. I would suggest not sparring that often, spending most of your time in the fitness portion of the sport unless you're competing. And the truth is that I still have lingering effects. There's times where I can't look at bright lights. There's times where I can't drive at night because of the concussions that I sustained, which leads to con number three, which is the inability to remember. Over the years, my memory has definitely gone down a little bit from years and years of boxing abuse. Of course, however, a lot of this can be offset by nutrition, lifestyle, good sleep, supplementation. All of these things can majorly help you, and you can still live an extremely healthy lifestyle. However, if you look at very experienced boxers, as time goes on, they start to get punch drunk. They can't even speak properly. Number four is that it's time and money consuming. Boxing is not a cheap sport. You can get cheap materials, but you don't want to. If you want to protect your hands, if you want to protect your brain, if you want to have a good experience learning the art of boxing or really any martial arts, there's going to be money investment and there's going to be a really high level of time investment to get good at it. And the last con I'll give you, because I've seen this in the gym so often, is potential overconfidence. You see a guy who comes in for 2 weeks, thinks he's got it all, he gets in the ring with somebody, starts talking smack, goes really hard trying to knock them out, and then that person teaches them a very valuable lesson. You don't want this to be the case for you, especially as you want to protect yourself over the long run. You make sure that you only spar with people that you trust, that you've had conversations with. Don't just get in the ring with anybody. I don't think that's smart unless you have the skills to back it up, and learn one step at a time. A lot of people go from martial arts like boxing over to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because there's no more brain damage that you sustain. However, there's always going to be caveats with something like Jiu-Jitsu, which is a lot of joint pain as well. I partake in deep tissue massages, physiotherapy. I use a lot of CBD, brain supplementation, get really good quality sleep, and just in general, safety first. Never push yourself beyond the limit that you think you can handle. Always be in the ring with trustful partners. And that's about it. Those are all my lessons. Those are what I think the cons of boxing and martial arts are. Would I suggest it? 100%. If you're someone who's looking to get into martial arts, this is 100% something that you should do. You're going to have more confidence in yourself, in your abilities. You're just going to be more peaceful. It's good for your health for the most part, as long as you protect yourself. And so hopefully this video helped you out. If you want more videos like this, I make business and personal development very, very simple. Click the subscribe button and we will talk soon.